Hello, folks. I'm Bob Kitchen, one of the owners here at Maple Hill Golf, and you're listening to the official podcast of Maple Hill, the Hill Unscripted. Every 2 weeks, I'll bring you the real talk from inside the golf world, insights, stories, and conversations that matter to you as a golfer and a valued part of the Maple Hill family. Welcome back to the Hill Unscripted. I'm your host, Bob Kitchen, or BK. Some really cool stuff going on. I want to talk about a few different subjects, got a few things, got a mailbag, got maple spill, we got some cool stuff going. So without further ado, we'll just get right into it. The Internet Invitational. I don't know if you guys have already seen this or heard about it. I was just kind of brought up to speed on it. So far, the Internet Invitational has been seen by 5.1 million golfers and counting. That beats out every PGA Tour ratings you'll find for the past decade. It also costs less to produce, which more people watch, and many think it's more entertaining. And the question is, do you think this type of event might change things for the PGA Tour in the future? And I just watched a little snippet of a guy from My Golf Spy talking about how boring the PGA Tour is, and I agree. So I think I talked about this before. I'm not sure it was on the podcast or not, but my dream tournament is a buy-in. I want everybody to have to put in $50,000 or $100,000 to play, your own money, create a huge purse, put in 48 guys or whatever, 100,000 a piece. That's a big number. And then play for it. So you just win each other's money, and then you got bragging rights. Hey, guys, thanks for the money. I think that the population would watch it. I think it would be way more fun than most anything that they do out there that's just old, and anything that's been the same way it's been for like the last 20, 30, 40 years. I think it's time to look at it because things have changed so much, so rapidly in the last 5 years that the whole golf boom of COVID just really sped up everything, in my opinion. So like golf balls, we sell way less white plain golf balls than what we ever did before. Now a lot of them have, some sort of stripes or paint or matte finish or whatever. There's all sorts of different looking golf balls now, and these kids just don't want to be the old, boring, stodgy, plain Jane, traditional. They don't want to be traditional. Let's go with that word. So we're moving. In my opinion, I think it's beautiful too. Anything that stays the same for too long, it gets kind of too repetitive and redundant, and it's boring. So let's keep it moving. So this Internet Invitational in particular is like My Golf Spy, Barstool Sports, Bob Does Sports. It's all these different like big hitters, Shields, that guy that does club reviews and all that. And maybe someday I'll work my way up. Maple Hill doesn't get into the politics too much, and I'm certainly not a politician in any way, shape, or form as far as like trying to get Maple Hill into the next level up and trying to weasel our way into certain things or whatever. Like if people want to hear what we have to say or what I have to say, great. I love talking. I love getting the truth out there, but we're not going to try to ever step on anyone or try to manifest something that's not really there, not really true. And I've watched some of these guys' podcasts and listen to some of what these guys say, and some of it I just really can't understand what in the world. Like, I don't know. There's so many opinions that I think are kind of questionable. So I'm out here just trying to tell the truth. That's the whole goal. That's why the show is called The Hill Unscripted. Like, you're just getting it straight off the cuff from me. And I think that this Internet Invitational is awesome. I think that something different is fantastic. Regular Joes out there playing golf for money and trying to win. That's actual pressure. If the pros all put up their own money, that would be actual pressure. If you're playing in the Sony Open, you got a $7 million purse because Sony put up $7 million in purse money for a bunch of rich guys to go out and play and win. And no offense to guys that don't have any money that are trying to play and win too, but most of these guys are pretty well off, or they're doing all right. And then they go out and play for somebody else's money. So is there a lot of pressure? Like first place wins $1.8 million, second place wins $1 million. Like there's definitely pressure, and these guys want to win, and they're competitive, so of course they want the trophy. But how hard is it when you're playing for someone else's money? So I like this Internet Invitational where it's regular Joes playing for a purse that actually probably really the money would actually change their life in some way, shape, or form. And I also would love a buy-in. And I also think that like wearing shorts and more relaxed golf is in the future. And anybody who thinks that it's not, my question is, if you watch baseball and now we got the pitch count and we've still got umpires calling ball and strikes for now, but we've got instant replay and we've got instant replay in football and we've made advances in football and there's a chip in the ball now as well. And do you think that golf is just going to stay the same forever? It can't. The sport needs to breathe. It needs to live. It needs to have at least some technology and some sort of diversification to keep it fun and interesting. And we don't need to scrap the whole format. We just need to make it funner and better and more entertaining. And I think that we're slowly heading in the right direction. I think LIV is actually doing a pretty good job of that, but nobody watches it. I just saw the numbers. Ethan just showed me it was 49,000 people watched. And then the PGA Tour was like 2-point-something million people watched. So LIV is like 40th or whatever it was of the amount of people watching the PGA Tour. So, but if you're at a LIV event, like my brother was talking about when he went to that one here in Michigan, it's fun, it's loud, it's exciting, it's all those things. And then speaking of LIV, I'll just jump to that right now. They just announced that they're moving to 4-day golf events. So LIV is the Roman numeral for 54. That's no longer true. Now it's going to be 72 holes like the PGA Tour. And that's probably because money would be my guess. So now they got to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday like normal. They can sell more tickets. They can get more TV time. And setting up these bleachers like years ago, it was maybe 3 years ago, they played an event out at Rich Harvest Farms in west edge of Chicago. My brother and I got to play the golf course like the week before the LIV was there. And all these grandstands and bleachers and courtesy tents, like where you get, free food and drinks and stuff. The production that they were putting on there was just gigantic. And the return on that, there's just no way that it makes any sense. There's just no way. No one can convince me that's money well spent. LIV just seems to throw away money for God knows what reason. I'm not exactly sure why they do that, but they do it. Most businesses and companies have to run a profit. They don't. They don't even seem to care. Why LIV even exists is still a total mystery to me. If anybody knows the answer to that, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And so anyhow, LIV's evolving a little bit. This Internet Invitational is proof that the watcher, the viewer, likes the YouTube presence that these guys all have, and they're watching these videos. And YouTube is certainly a very powerful proponent to the golf business. And we put all the product reviews I do on there. These videos go on YouTube. It's huge. And then I know a lot of people like take lessons off YouTube, which can be very dangerous because it's not one size fits all as far as lessons go. Some of my buddies are like, oh yeah, I learned how to chip last night by watching a YouTube video. I'm like, okay, well, not everybody needs the exact same instruction as far as learning how to chip, because not everybody is the exact same stance, setup, swing capabilities is what this guy's teaching. So this guy might be trying to teach a 5 handicap, and I can tell you a 15 handicap needs to hear different words. So just be careful with those YouTube videos. But this Internet Invitational is a YouTube thing, and I think people love it, and good for them. I'm for it. We need some progression. It has to happen. Next subject, moving on. This is a real common one that we get. Right now we're in the off season a little bit, so it's a little slower, but how do trade-ins work? So this is the biggest smoke and mirrors, or one of the biggest smoke and mirrors proponents to the golf industry. When somebody says, oh yeah, we'd be more than happy to give you $500 trade-in for your irons. And then they come in here and they go, hey, this place said they'd give me $500 trade-in. And we go, well, the most we can do is $450. And they go, well, that place said they'd give you $500. And I'm like, well, look what they're selling the product for. They're selling the product for $100 more than us. We're giving you $50 less, which this isn't always true. I'm just talking about a scenario that's happened before for sure. We're giving you, but the difference in price, we're going to be cheaper. So our goal is always to have it be the cheapest difference in price. So when people say, hey, I got a Titleist TSR driver, what's it worth on trade-in? I'll give them a range of price because it depends on what you're trading in towards. If it's something we're making a lot of money on or something we have a very, very low margin on, that trade-in value varies at least some. There is kind of a Kelly Blue Book for golf clubs. You can either use that PGA Value Guide or you can use Callaway's Trade In, Trade Up, which are very reliable sources for getting a value. Condition of the golf club does matter some. The grip on the golf club does matter some, like if it's completely worn out and looks like crap, or if it's brand new. Unfortunately, upgrade shafts don't play into account too terrible much. But just be very, very cognizant of how trade-ins work. And, oh yeah, this guy said I can get $300 for these irons. Well, what towards what? Like towards shirts at full price? If somebody wants to trade in clubs towards shirts at full price, I'm more than happy to give them a huge trade-in. Let me just charge you full price. Let me sell it to you for full retail, and I'll jack your trade-in value way up. So just be very, very aware of that. I don't want to go on and on about trade-ins, but there's a lot of, I don't want to call it bait and switch, but smoke and mirrors is probably the better way to word it, because there's so much hocus pocus going on with, oh, we'll give you this, and we'll charge you that. One guy I know from Philadelphia, he was like, hey, I got this bonus trade in and all this and this, and I said, okay, well, what did you pay? Well, I paid $180, and I was like, okay, I could have sold it to you for $120 with your trade in. He's like, oh, really? But it seemed like I was getting such a good trade in, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, dude. If they're doing that, that's probably, they're probably jacking up the price on the other side, like market up to market down type of a thing. So just be aware, buyer beware. I shoot this podcast for a lot of different things. Some of it's to get thoughts out of my head, to get things off my chest, make me feel like I'm doing something good for the world. And one of the biggest reasons I do it is to try to help you listeners understand the way things work. So if something new comes out and the whole world's chasing it, there's probably a big markup on it, or there's probably a lot of advertising or marketing dollars behind it as far as making it work. I harp on it a lot, but like zero torque putters, like there's a lot of money being spent on that avenue to try to get people to believe and buy that those are the greatest thing ever. And if it was completely true, every single person on tour would use one if it was truly better. And very, very few of them do. I think it's like 15% of the pros, somewhere in that neighborhood, are playing zero torque putters. So 85% of them are like, this isn't better. I know everybody's trying to find the next big thing, and nobody wants to believe it's your actual swing. But it kind of is your actual swing. So, and I said it yesterday. I was talking to a guy. He was talking about putters in particular. And I said 100 years ago, people missed putts on the low side. Today, people will miss putts on the low side. And 100 years from now, people will probably miss putts on the low side. So we underpredict, and we just never really get any better. So when I'm playing golf with my sons, I always say, don't miss low. Don't miss low. Don't miss low. I want to miss that putt 6 inches high instead of 6 inches low. Kind of break the wheel and actually get better and actually improve the sport of golf. And like, oh, that did break more than I thought. Oh, that did this, it did that. Just be very, very realistic about it. So I always tell them, don't miss low. Don't miss low. Don't miss low. And that's my advice for all you listeners too. If you're putting, kind of chart your misses. I had a tough putting last week. I played out here in our King of the Hill match, our employee tournament, and I just kept blocking putts to the right. I just kept missing them slightly to the right, and I had to square that up. Went back and played 2 days later down at Railside in a little 27-hole golf match down there, and I started draining everything. I got that face squared up, and I played actually really well as opposed to playing like crap out here. So I got on a little tangent there, but that's the trade-in thing. That's how putters and all that kind of thing works. Next thing I want to talk about Next subject. This is near and dear to my heart too, because it drives me absolutely crazy. And every single person listening to this podcast right now is in a different boat than the person sitting next to them. Maybe slightly different, maybe drastically different. Yardage gapping. How that works and what it should look like. So here's the intelligence that these companies have. These companies are so smart, and they've got such high-paid engineers and technology behind these golf clubs. What they're trying to do when they make a set of irons, like gap wedge, pitching wedge, 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron, 6-iron, they're trying to make the length of the golf club, the loft of the golf club, where you have 10 yard spacing for the average player, which I'm going to say is maybe a 15 handicap or somewhere in there, an average player to have 10 yard gapping from one club to the next. At some point in time, we'll talk about irons and we'll work our way into the rest of the conversation, but we'll talk about irons. At some point in time, you get a diminishing point of returns. So your 5-iron and your 6-iron might still have 10 yards gapping, and then your 5 and 4 might be like 4 yards gapping or 5 yards gapping. That means the 4-iron is no longer a threat in your bag. You shouldn't have a 4-iron. You need to go to a hybrid because that's going to get that correct yardage gapping between your 5-iron and your 4 hybrid. And then 4 hybrid is also a 9 wood. So if you don't like hybrids, well, I don't like hybrids. I can't hit hybrids. I hear that sometimes. Okay. You want a bigger head, longer shaft, go to a 9 wood. So irons are 10 yard spacing. Make sure that if you don't have 10 yard spacing, if you don't know what you're doing, you can come in here and hit the simulators and see what your actual average distance with every club is. Once you have that compression and distance where it no longer is 10 yards, if it gets down to, call it 7, 6, 5, that club's useless. Get rid of that club and put in its counterpart, whether it's a hybrid or fairway wood. Hybrids are supposed to have 15 yard spacing. So if you go from a 4 hybrid to a 3 hybrid, 3 hybrid to a 2 hybrid, or 5 hybrid to a 4 or whatever, from one club to the next, you're supposed to have 15 yards gapping. So if your 5 hybrid goes 170 yards, your 4 hybrid should go about 185, maybe 180. So what else drives me crazy is when people go, well then what am I, if my 4 hybrid goes 185, then what am I supposed to do from 175? Well, your 5 hybrid maxes out at 170, let's call it. So you're supposed to choke down a little bit is what you're supposed to do. You can't have a 4.5 hybrid. Like some of them are adjustable. Maybe the loft needs to be adjusted up or down to get that desired yardage gapping. That, a lot of the hybrids are adjustable, and they're adjustable so you can dial in that yardage properly. Not a lot of people go through that and actually do that, but that's what they're there for. So yardage gapping on hybrids, 15 yards, and then yardage gapping on fairway woods is 20 yards. So a 3 wood to a 5 wood, 5 wood to a 7 wood, 7 wood to a 9 wood. Those should all be about 20 yards apart. So if your 5 wood goes 200, which is what mine does, my 3 wood should go about 215 to 220, 220 on a perfect hit, perfect lie, all things created equal. And then your driver should go, about 20 yards further than what your 3 wood does on a really good shot. Maybe 30 yards, maybe even more than that if you got a longer shaft or whatever it happened to be. So yardage gapping, like a guy the other day was like, I got a 3 wood. I don't really need a 5 wood, do I? I said, well, yeah, you probably do. I don't know what your next club down is, but yeah, you probably need a 5. My 5 wood's my favorite club because 3 wood, you have to have a perfect lie or an uphill lie, or certainly not a downhill lie to actually get it in the air. 5 wood, you can have a slight downhill lie. 5 wood, I've hit out of fairway bunkers, long grass. 5 wood, it has enough loft to actually get the golf ball up in the air. Then you got ladies and seniors that don't generate as much club head speed, and they need that like 18, 19 degree loft to actually get the golf club in the air off the ground. So if you buy an actual ladies specific club, like Cobra makes their 3 wood, I think at 19 degrees, and ladies and men's, it's either 15 or 16. That's correct. And Cobra does a really good job of making a women's specific 3 wood. That's a completely different head than what the men's is. It's not just painted pink or, light blue or something. So those, you have to have those yardages correct. And a lot of people will go, I really wish I could hit a 3 wood. And I'm like, well, if you had one and hit it good, your 5 wood's still going to go further because the ball stays in the air longer. So you're going to get more carry and more distance out of it because you can actually get more the ball's in the air longer. It's going to get more carry. 3-wood falls out of the sky too soon. Even if you get more roll, unless you're playing in Florida or Arizona, California, where it's hard pan, it doesn't go as far. So you have to be realistic about that, and it's hard. Well, how do I know? Well, hit some shots and check it out. Especially if you hit in a simulator. Simulators aren't smart enough to lie. They just tell you what you did. Your brain can lie to you. Salesmen can lie to you. But simulators, TrackMan, the statistics cannot lie. It is what it says that it is, which is great. So that's always my recommendation. And I think I've talked about this before, the hose analogy, but I'll go through it one more time. Go turn your garden hose on full blast and hold the hose out like this. If you can see my arm, it's probably at maybe a 20-degree angle. And then as you go turn that water pressure down, as your swing speed slows down, you have to raise the angle of that hose in order to get that water to fly as far out of that hose as possible and land on the cement as far away from you as possible. So as swing speed or water pressure goes down, you have to raise launch angle in order to get that water to the golf ball to fly as far as possible. I hope that makes sense to everybody. I hope you're following that analogy. So if you got a fire hose hooked up to a fire hydrant, you can hold the thing pretty darn straight, almost parallel to the ground, and it's firing water out of there so fast that you don't need a whole lot of launch. You don't need a whole lot of angle to get that water to go way, way out there because it's got so much pressure. If you hook it to a hose instead of a fire hydrant, you're gonna have to raise it a little bit. And if you hook it up to a sprinkler that's tapped, you're gonna have to raise that thing way up in order to get it to launch. So depends on what part of your life you're in, whether you're the fire hydrant or the sprinkler. That sounds a little crazy, but I hope that registers with people, and I hope they understand that. And then you also have conditions, right? So right now in Michigan, it's cold. It's really cold. So the ground is wet. The ground is soft. So I switched this past week. I was playing a Wilson Triad golf ball, which is more of a distance ball than the Wilson Staff model, because the ball doesn't need any more spin because it's already going to stop. So I don't need a ton of greenside spin or iron spin. So I went to something that goes a little bit longer off the tee than what the Wilson Staff model does, which I think we've talked about that before, like the misnomer of Pro V1, and I don't need that ball. I don't swing that hard or whatever. It's not that. It's greenside spin. It's not distance. Pro V1 is not a long golf ball. It's a great golf ball, no doubt about it, but it's designed for control, not for distance. So in the fall, people talk about, does temperature control the golf ball that much, or does temperature really make a difference, or should I play a softer golf ball in the fall and the winter? That's honestly more for feel. Like, as far as performance goes, we've tested golf balls in the cold and stuff. It really doesn't. It's the difference is so minimal. It's less difference than what your swing makes. I can promise you that. So don't worry too much. But now, feel, if you're hitting a harder golf ball, you're hitting a Titleist Velocity, which is a very, very firm feeling golf ball. It's a great distance ball. If you're hitting that and it's cold outside, or you're hitting a Wilson Staff Duo or a Callaway Super Soft, you will be able to feel the difference. Performance-wise, it's not a ton of difference, but that velocity is going to feel like glass off the golf club sometimes, especially a toed iron or a bladed iron. It's going to be very harsh on your hands. So if you switch to a softer golf ball, that will soften that feel and that blow. If you blade it and it's absolutely freezing out, I don't care what you're playing. It's going to shatter your hands. It's cold. But I hope that makes sense to everybody. Like, there was this big kind of myth about temperature and golf balls and all that. It's really more feel than it is performance. So I want to clear that up. Clear up the yardage gapping, clear up trade-ins and how that works, and we'll always be the difference. We'll always be the lowest difference in price. That's our ultimate goal, is to make sure we walk people through that and help them out with that. So, where are we at on time? 24 minutes. Okay, perfect. We're going to move into the mailbag question then. We talked about LIV. We're going to move to the mailbag question. Question from Facebook username Steve Schultz. So, Steve, first and foremost, thank you very much for sending something in and for being a listener. Steve and I go way back. We went to, I met him when I was in elementary school. He worked here when he was in high school. He got a set of Ping Zing 2s. I'm almost sure it was Zing 2s. He had a Ping, either L8 or Hoof or Bag. I know he got some rocket balls from us at one point in time. Stevie, I'm pulling them all out on this, and he's still a friend to this day. He's a great human being, good friend of mine. I don't see him a whole lot, but really good dude. So his question, I think, is really more funny than serious, but here it is. How do you handle getting older in golf and having to lay up on par fives instead of going for it into asking for a friend? So the funny part of that is, I guess you just, cut a slice of humble pie and eat it. That's the easiest, funny, short answer. The other thing that realistically is, we got to make sure, Stevie, like you're probably 50. I'm 47, so you're probably 50 now, or 51 would be my guess. But we've got to make sure we're playing the proper tees. And by proper tees, I mean the proper yardage. So while I'm 50 years old, I need to play the white tees. Well, what is the yardage from the white tees? So I'm always trying to play like right around 6,000, kind of trying to be the ceiling. And a lot of my buddies are like, oh, we got to play 62. We got to play 63. And I'm like, okay, none of us are shooting under par. So where in the world is this ego coming in that we think we got to kill ourselves from these crazy long distances? Like, I've talked about that on another podcast. Like, if the pros are playing at 7,000 or a little over, and let's just say they're hitting it 20% further. So if you take 7,000, 10% of that is 700. So 20% of that is 1,400. So if they're playing 7,000, we should be playing 5,600 for a guy that pros hit at 300, using a round number. Amateur hits at 240. That's pretty close to what I hit it. So if they're playing 7,000, for me to play the same difficulty, I should be playing 5,600 yards. There's not a lot of golf courses at 5,600 yards that are like a country club or a high-end public course or something like that. So laying up on par fives, yep, part of it's just age, bro. We're not young anymore. We don't move it like we used to. And I actually was talking last week when I played Chris in our King of the Hill match. Like, I was thinking about where I used to hit the golf ball and with old crappy equipment compared to what's out now. Like, what's out now is just – clubs are so good compared to the junk we were playing. But they didn't, it wasn't driven, the industry wasn't driven by engineering and technology and I would say all these nerds in computers that are really, really good at their job. Like, it used to be driven by craftsmen and design and like look, like the Big Bertha Warbird and the Great Big Bertha, Biggest Big Bertha, all that stuff. It had a particular look people liked. It had a sound and feel people liked. It spun the crap out of the golf ball. There was no flexibility to the face, and everybody loved it. Everybody bought it. Titleist 975D, 975J, Tie Bubble 2, Fire Soul, all these old golf clubs that were so popular. They didn't have a lot of technology in them. They really, truly didn't, but they worked. And back in those days, I could kill the golf ball. I hit it 50, 60 yards further than what I do right now, 20 years ago. And with way inferior equipment to what I'm using right now. So my distance loss would have probably been even more had this new technology not come out. But the age is, Father Time is unbeaten, Stephen. He just, it's hard to dial back the clock. All you can do is combat it with technology. If you can't afford that, you got to move up to the exact right tee boxes and make sure you're using the right yardage to enjoy the game, because that's what it's really supposed to be, right? You're supposed to be. That's why it costs money. You're supposed to actually be out there having fun. Maple Spill, moving into that. Free fitting promo. Yeah, this is pretty fun. So we're doing this right here, and I'm sure Caitlin and Ethan will put it on the screen as well. So free Launch Kitchen TrackMan fittings valid through November 27th. Available on all club and putter fittings. Get 100% of your fitting fee back and a gift card. No expiration on the gift card. So if you do a $80 putting fitting for 60 minutes, you get an $80 gift card. So right now, through November 27th, there is no excuse whatsoever for you not to find your yardages, find your yardage gapping, figure out what you need, like all the things I was talking about on this podcast. Come in here and do a fitting, pay your money. You're going to get 100% of it back in a gift card. And if you're listening to this, you're probably a Maple Hill customer, and Lord knows you're going to buy something. So come in here and figure out what in the world you need. The putter fitting is one of my favorite things. So I think people will probably learn the most on a putter fitting. Like, wow, I had no idea I was doing that. The cameras and the system that we use is just absolutely second to none. It's what all the pros and all that use in their house or in their fitting studios. And then, of course, we have TrackMan. We have the greatest technology in both clubs and putters. So 100% back now through November 27th. And then you can use that gift card towards whatever. If you end up getting fit for something, you can put it towards that. If you don't, you can save it for a rainy day or Christmas gifts, whatever you want. The gift card promo. So we've got two different ones. You got both of them here for me, Kate? All right, beautiful. The gift cards themselves are in there. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to kind of go over these sheets. So, gift card bonus. So we started doing this. I stole this idea from my buddy that Jim Phelan's his name. He owns Arnie's, the bakery. His dad was Arnie. And they are now called Beer City Brew Works. And the boys are all good friends of mine. They're great guys. And he was doing this years ago. And he said, Bob, you ought to do something like that. And he's in here all the time, especially when his three kids were all grown up playing golf. And they're really good players. They still are. So we kind of took this idea from them years ago, and it's been an absolute grand slam. Customers love it. And it's a great add-on to a gift card. And no matter what, whoever you're getting the gift card for, they are going to use at least one of these. So it's a no-brainer. One size fits all. If you don't know what to get someone, men, I know when it comes to Christmas gifts are pretty particular about what they get. I get that. When it comes to golf, when it comes to anything else, like, honey, do you like this shirt? Yeah, it's fine. Who cares? Honey, do you like this golf shirt? Let me look at it. What brand is it? You know, all that kind of a thing. Men get real particular. So $60 to $119 gift cards. You get two $10 off your next purchase, $60 or more. You get a discount on a fitting session. You get 50% off your next two heated stall or simulator rentals. And then you get 2 passes to our liquidation sale, which is coming up in January 2, 3, and 4 at the Aquinas Fieldhouse. Then, for the little bit higher spender, anybody that wants to get $120 or more gift card, you get basically everything I just said. Your TrackMan fitting goes up to a 50% discount. The same two there. This is really cool. We teamed up with Cobra Puma, that's the same company. Callaway Odyssey, that's the same company. And Cleveland Strixon, that's the same company. And these little coupons are, you get $20 off a purchase of $100 or more with each of those brands. That's another $60 in savings on top of this gift card, that gift card, this gift card. And to sweeten the pot one last time, you get a free Izzo Patriotic Putting Cup Mat Set. So it's basically a piece of foam that's slanted that you can putt or chip into in your basement, whether you use real golf balls or foam golf balls, whatever. But it's a real simple little thank you and putting mat that's free with any $120 or higher gift card. And that started now already, right? We're already doing this? Yep. Okay. These gift cards are already available. Now until Christmas. Yeah, we don't do it after Christmas because basically after Christmas, we're going to be ramping right into our big sale at Aquinas. So that's the two gift card bonuses, $60 to $119 and $120 plus. We did the putting mat a couple of years ago, and it was a tremendous success, so we brought it back. And Izzo Golf, it's really, really cool looking. You can keep that for yourself, folks, whatever. We don't care. So you got the freebies with. You can keep the freebies, too. I know, like, restaurants do that a lot. And sometimes people just give the gift card and keep the freebies. We don't care. Do whatever you want. And then this one, Mike Maris, our instructor of golf and director of golf, hard at work as always. Turkey Tee Off Open, Black Friday, 4-person scramble. All skill levels have a chance to win. November 28th, that is Black Friday. Beautiful. 10 a.m. shotgun. Hopefully by 10 a.m. your hands will be thawed out. $260 per 4-person team. So what is that? 65 a piece? 70 a piece? 60, something like that. Boy, where's my math at? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do sell the hot hands, yeah. If you need to thaw your hands out. This is assuming it's not snowing. But this is really fun. We did this before, and the people loved it. We've actually done this quite a bit. Oftentimes on usually men playing this, to be perfectly honest. But obviously, ladies, we'd love to have you. But oftentimes people are out shopping, and the other spouse or whatever has nothing to do. So come on out and play golf at Maple Hill. It's super fun. 18-hole, 4-person scramble format. Longest drive, close to the pin. Flighted and prizes various places. So we're not just paying first, second, third. So if your team kind of sucks, like my team usually does, basically because they're terrible, not me. But you still have a chance at winning. So that makes it fun. Free $20 back in Maple Bucks per golfer, or a hat per golfer. Okay, all right, we'll give them one or the other. That's cool. Free box lunch at the turn, and then $10 per golfer optional skins. Rain, snow, date to be determined. So yeah, if it happens to snow or if it's raining profusely, we might have to call an audible on that. But sign up. It's super fun. If it doesn't end up happening, we'll just refund you. But it is super, super fun. The price is reasonable, and then you get a $20 gift card back, and you get lunch. So that's a really fun event. People love that, and it gives you something to do on Black Friday. So other than that, I've gotten a lot of feedback in the last week or two from a lot of different friends in my life and family in my life and customers turn friends and that kind of a thing about this podcast. And we keep on trying to make it fun and interesting. We keep trying to come up with subjects and stuff that people want to hear about. So what I'd love to hear from you guys, if you got any other stuff or subjects you want to hear about, or what about this, what about that, please drop it in the comments below. I would really appreciate that. And it makes Caitlin and Ethan get a little bit more interaction with you guys. And I get to answer some stuff that I think is fun because if it matters to you, it matters to me. And let's discuss everything out there. If you want to talk about pricing or like big picture stuff or the future of golf or like where do we go from here? Why do they bring out a new driver every year? Like all these different things. I'd love to chat about anything that you guys would want to hear about. I'd absolutely love that. And I do appreciate getting to do this. Right now I'm a little under the weather. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm not feeling exactly 100%, but I still am more than happy to come in and do this. And I really enjoy this. This is one of the funnest parts of my job. So thank you all very much for listening once again. And new episodes drop every other week. So be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share it with a friend. If something on this show meant something to you, or think somebody needs to hear something, send it over to them and get them to listen to it. We need to keep growing this fan base as much as we can. And I appreciate it. Caitlin and Ethan work hard at this too. So their hard work doesn't go unnoticed. So until next time, BK signing off, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.